Today it's chapter 11, verses 85 and 86 that we're going to look at. And the Holy Quran says, "And O my people, give full measure and weight justly, and defraud not men of their things, and act not corruptly in the land, making mischief. What remains with Allah is better for you, if you are believers, and I am not a keeper over you." The instructions that the Holy Quran gives us, some of them are direct. Do this, don't do this, and so on. But sometimes we are given instructions in a historical context. We are told what message did the prophets bring who came before the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how they were treated by their people, and what happened to those who followed the commandments of Allah as brought by the prophet of their time and their place, and what happened to those who did not follow those instructions. Now, you see, a lot of the people, even those who believed, and these were in a way the most difficult category. Those who denied the prophets and the messages of God. So, in a way, they were clear-cut. Those who accepted the prophets and followed the commands of Allah, they were fine as well. But there was a large group in the middle who, although they accepted, or they said that they accepted the message and commands of Allah, did not do so sincerely, or if they accepted them by their tongue, their actions belied what they said they believed. And if you do that, it doesn't matter how wonderful the message is, it is not going to attract people. I had a friend at one of the places where I worked, and we were talking about embracing Islam. And he made a very valid point. He said, "You're asking me to embrace Islam because it will make me a better person. I will not lie. I will not cheat. I will not deprive people of their rights, and many other things. It will take me closer to God." But then he asked me this question, and I had no answer for it. He said, "How is it that if I embrace Islam, it will make me such a good person or a better person and take me closer to God, but those who were born as Muslims, it does not seem to have the same effect upon them? Surely they should be even better than I am, because from the day that they opened their eyes, even before they got their first feed, what they heard was the name of Allah and the fact that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought his message, and it is the perfect message for mankind. From that point on, to the time that that person's soul is taken, he is reciting the kalima, and the kalima encompasses the whole of the teaching of the Holy Quran. There is God, La ilaha illallah, on one hand, and then God sets an example for us. Muhammadur Rasulullah. I am not revealing this message to some angel. I am not revealing this message to my son. I am not revealing this message to some minor god. I am setting up an example of you, of this man called Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is a human being. If he can follow this message, why is it that you can't? So from the time you were born, you told this. Up till the time you die, when you're asked to acknowledge this. But for many Muslims, at no point does this message infuse their hearts. And we are tested, throughout our lives we are tested by one trial or another, by many things that we face in life. The choice is very simple. The choice is, are we going to please God, or are we going to please, or are we going to look after our own benefits, or are we going to please our relatives and our children and our families and our friends and so on. The choice really is as simple as that. From us, you and me, how many will say that I'll please my Allah, although it will displease my family? I've seen many people. There are, of course, examples of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib himself. When he went to court and he bore true evidence against his own father. His father claimed a piece of land, and the opposite party, seeing Hazrat Sahib in court, said, let this boy say that this land belongs to his father, and we'll withdraw our defense and hand over the land. And the judge said, do you realize that this is the claimant's son? And they said, yes. He has never lied, and he will not lie now. And Hazrat Sahib, when asked by the judge to give evidence, said, no, the land doesn't belong to my father. Would that have pleased his father? Of course not. The father was very angry. And he was asked, why did you come? And Hazrat Sahib said, sir, my father ordered me, you go and make sure that the lawyer pleading this case gets to court on time. And God says, obey your father. So I obeyed him. And then the judge said, but why did you give evidence against your father? And Hazrat Sahib said, because God says, when you have to give evidence, speak the truth, even though it may be against your own kith and kin. Now, I had to choose whose instructions, whose command do I follow? Do I do what God says, or do I do what my father says? So I did what God commanded me to do, and that was to speak the truth. You may say, well, that's very fine. It was his father who might be affected. Would he have done that if his own personal interest was affected? And at another time, when it was Hazrat Saab's personal case. He was being tried on a misapprehension, and all he had, there was no evidence, there were no witnesses. All he had to say was, no, I didn't do that. And he was advised by his barristers and advocates and attorneys to say, no, I didn't do that. Everyone knows the person who complains is against you. He makes speeches against you. And Hazrat Saab said, I can't do that. And they said, why? He said, because it's a lie. And God says, don't lie. And his attorneys said, but if you go to prison, people will curse you. And what a wonderful reply that man gave. What a beautiful reply. That should be written and hung on every wall of every house. Hazrat Sahib said, should I take upon my shoulders the curse of God by denying His command? Because I'm afraid of curses of people of this world? By God, I will not do so. Let the whole world curse me, but as long as my God is with me, no one can harm me. And so it happened. You see, if you become God's, then He protects you. But not by mere words, not just by saying that we are Muslims, we are conducting a jihad, we are doing this, we are doing that. If you go to Malaysia, you will find a majority of Muslims. How did they become Muslims? Christians say Islam was spread by the sword. Muslims attacked countries and they conquered them and so on and forced people to embrace Islam and leave their religion, whatever it might be. Well, which Muslim army invaded Malaysia or Indonesia? There was no army. Arabs were merchants by trade. They went there and they traded with the people there. And the people there were so impressed by their honesty and their decency and their truthfulness that they embraced Islam. It's those people's character that made people embrace Islam. Not an invasion, not an invading army, not some king. If kings had forced people to embrace Islam, then the whole of India would have been Muslim by now. Certainly wouldn't have had a non-Muslim majority. But the point I was making was, I can stand here and make fine speeches. We can get the Holy Quran and literature on Islam translated into every language in the world. We can give a free copy of the Holy Quran to every single person in the world and say, read this, this will make you a better person. But unless those people see that the person giving them this free copy is a good person, is a truthful person, is an honest person, has compassion for humanity in his heart, they will not embrace Islam. They'll take that copy, maybe to sell it, maybe out of courtesy because they know you, and put it somewhere. And it will have no impact on them. And this is why the Holy Quran says that the worst creature on this earth is that person who preaches but does not practice what he preaches. Because it brings the message into disrepute. And we see this over and over again. We see this happening over and over again. That Muslims do things in the name of religion which actually bring religion into disrepute. And as I keep on saying, and as I keep on asking, when Muslims say there is false propaganda against Islam in the West, and I ask them, what need is there for false propaganda against Islam? We provide them with enough material by our own actions. Look at the last month. Just look at the last month. Last week, some Muslims were convicted of grooming young white girls, even minors, children, for indecent acts. They were giving these young girls hard drugs, getting them addicted to hard drugs, and then using them to run their filthy trade. Now, when that example hits the newspapers, the television, the radio, what effect is that going to have upon the population of this country? All the other Muslims are going to be tarred with the same brush. Just as, and I say this with great regret, just as we say white people are like this, white girls are like this, as if somehow we are a superior creation because we carry the name Shahid or Aziz or Abdullah or Hakim or whatever. And this has been a message that has been given by all the prophets of God. And this was the message that a prophet gave to his people. And he said, "O my people, give full measure and weight justly." You're being told to be truthful and to be honest. And defraud not men of their things. All the scams that you see on BBC and so on and so forth, they're all covered by this. Of course, it doesn't say don't do internet scams and don't do this scam or that scam. But listen to the next one. And act not corruptly in the land, making mischief. A month ago, we had some Muslims who were arrested because they were going to bomb a rally by the English Defence League. Is that not acting corruptly in the land and creating mischief? 2 weeks ago, we had these other young men who were acting corruptly in the land in a different way. The message of the Quran is that because it is for all places and all people at all time, it summarizes these things. And you can apply them in your own country, in your own time, to your own actions. As I said, it doesn't say don't do internet scams. It doesn't say don't clock cars so that if something is, if a car is done 100,000 miles, don't put the meter back and say it's only done 40,000 miles. It's covered by give full measure and weight, and it's covered by and defraud not men of their things, because you're defrauding someone of their hard-earned cash. Let us resolve this Friday that what we are going to do is not change ourselves totally, but we are going to take one thing that we do which is wrong, just one thing, and resolve that we won't do it again. and consciously make an effort to check ourselves. You don't have to tell me what it is. You don't have to tell the president of the Jamaat or the Imam or anyone else what it is. It's between you and God. Because as God says, what remains with Allah is better for you. So even if you eliminate that one thing in your character, you will be that much better. There is that example of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, that when a person went to him and said, I have many weaknesses, I do many things which are wrong. Which one should I give up? How can I give up all of them? And the Holy Prophet said, just give up one, and that is lying. And just because he gave up that one weakness, eventually it led to his giving up all of the wrong things that he did. You see, interestingly, those who work for Alcoholics Anonymous and psychiatrists and psychologists, they will tell you exactly the same thing. First, honestly face what your problem is. It is only then that you can address. That man accepted that he had this problem, and he was determined to become a better person and remove that weakness. And that gradually led to all the other wrong things that he used to do being stopped. We don't have to look at Islam as a religion revealed 1500 years ago. Its message is as relevant as any of the modern sciences this day. What it tells you is exactly what the psychologists and the psychiatrists and the counselors and so on are going to tell you. It is for us to see this, and it is for us to act upon it. Mere theory is fine, but it won't benefit you or me or further the cause of Islam.